Welcome to Mind Your Presence, a space where mindset meets soul work. I'm Crystal, and I'm here to help you transform how you think, how you feel, and how you show up for your life. Each week, we'll dive into powerful practices, inspiring insights, and grounded guidance to reconnect you to your truth, rewire your beliefs, and expand what's possible for you. Because your presence is your power, and you're here to live fully, freely, and on purpose. So let's begin. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode here at Mind Your Presence, and I appreciate everyone for being here. Remember, if this message found your presence, then your presence is meant to hear this. So take what resonates and leave what doesn't, and keep your mind open to the message that is meant for you. Today, we're talking about something that so many of us quietly wrestle with. It's the guilt that comes up when we make the decision to choose ourselves, even in the simplest scenarios. Let me ask you a few questions. How many times have you said yes when everything in you wanted to say no? How many times have you overextended yourself, pushed past your limits, crossed or broken your own boundaries, or even set your own needs aside just to avoid disappointing or upsetting someone? How many times have you felt guilty for simply needing space, rest, or time alone to focus on you or your own dreams? How many times have you not said or done what you truly wanted to do because you were afraid of hurting someone else's feelings? Let those questions sink in if you don't already have an answer. So if you've been there, you're not alone. I know a lot of us have been there a few times, sometimes all the time. Guilt can make us feel like taking care of ourselves is somehow wrong, selfish, or even unloving. But the truth is, choosing yourself is an act of love in itself. Not just for you, but for everyone that's around you. Sometimes when you give too much of yourself or ignore yourself without listening to your inner intuition, you can get to a point where you feel that you have nothing else to give. You might shut down, feel depressed. It can create confusion, not just for you, but for everyone around you. Choosing yourself is sacred. And let's be honest, it's a medicine for your own health. Okay, let's pause and look at where guilt comes from. So most of the time, it's not from the present moment that you're in. It's actually from conditioning, from habitual scenarios that you constantly reinforce. We've been taught to be the good one, the reliable one, the person who always shows up no matter what, the person who mends, who fixes, or even the person who takes the time to make the effort first so that everything is copacetic. And when we start to set our boundaries or to say no, to honor our own needs, our nervous system gets triggered. That familiar wave of guilt rolls in, whispering, "You're letting someone down. You're doing something wrong. What if we disappoint or hurt someone's feelings?" But guilt doesn't always mean that you're wrong. Sometimes guilt is just an echo of old programming. Truthfully, boundaries aren't about controlling anyone else. They're about clarity for you. They're a way of saying, this is what I need, and this is how I need it. It's creating a list for yourself. Because if we don't, then we will potentially get used or walked all over. And when we don't know what we need or what we want, how do we expect anyone else to know what we need and what we want, what we're okay with? And let's be honest, if someone is uncomfortable or unhappy with your boundaries, it's often because they were benefiting from you not having them in the first place anyway. So here's the reframe. Choosing yourself is not abandoning others. It's resourcing yourself so that you can actually show up with presence, with energy, and with authenticity. Think about it. When you're running on empty and you're saying yes out of guilt, resentment eventually builds. Your body feels tight, your energy feels heavy, and you can feel angry or detached from people because you decided not to express yourself authentically with them. Everything always comes back to us eventually. But when you choose from truth, when you give yourself rest, when you honor your joy, you bring back a full, radiant version of yourself. When you express your needs and honor your desire and feelings, the right people, the ones truly meant for you, will shift with you. Not because they have to, but they'll recognize and resonate with your authenticity because it will align with their own authenticity. And that's when you start to see the difference between guilt and truth. Guilt says, I'm doing something wrong. But truth says, I'm doing something necessary. As a quick mindfulness pause, when you are in a situation where you're feeling that guilt, you want to take a slow, deep breath in and exhale gently, and then you ask yourself, if I let go of this guilt, what truth would I see? And you sit in that and you wait for the answer. Because our ego has a way of hiding things under layers. Sometimes we think we found the problem or the wound, per se, and come to find out the ego created a layer on top of it. And I personally don't think that our ego is trying to manipulate us or trying to hurt us. It really is a machine. And, we have a core wound that gets triggered over and over and over again because we're not aware of it. And each time that it gets triggered, I feel like the ego will layer something on top of it, right? So the umbrella is, let's say, I'm not worthy of taking up space. And then underneath the umbrella, every time that we experience something that triggers that wound, there's another definition put on top of it. So that when something comes up that's similar, we can now protect ourselves because the ego, the machine, can predict it through analyzing scenarios that have happened in the past and then projecting the scenarios that and possibilities. And unfortunately, with the way that we've been raised in society, it's usually worst case scenario for protection, survival. Another one, and maybe the most powerful thing you can do, is listening to your body. If your chest feels tight, if your stomach sinks, if you feel drained just thinking about saying yes, your body is guiding you toward choosing yourself. Your body is already telling you that it's not in alignment with you. Your body will tell you what you want. Your mind will tell you what you should do to prevent any type of turmoil, usually, until you train it. A journal prompt you guys can actually use too is to write down, where have I been abandoning myself? And what would it look like to choose me instead? Right? So a lot of people that I've spoken with get triggered by the whole abandoning myself. Because when you're starting your journey, or even in the middle of your journey, saying that you're abandoning yourself is kind of intense. It is true that's what you're doing when you're saying yes to somebody else. Because when you say yes to somebody else, you are already saying no to yourself. So, with the journaling prompt, to give kind of some examples, where have I been abandoning myself? And let's think of, for a job, working overtime. Now, some people like to work overtime. Other people work overtime because their boss expects them to. They don't want to let them down. Nobody else will do it, so they have to be the yes man. And you abandon yourself when you don't want to work overtime, when you don't feel like doing it, when you push yourself to do it because you think you have to. Or helping a family member out or a friend. You're always the one they ask for help. You're always the one they're borrowing money from. You're always the one that gets requested for something. And I don't mean things that you enjoy. I'm talking about scenarios where they could have asked somebody else, but they went to you because you always feel obligated. You always help out. You feel guilty. And you want to make sure that they're taken care of, even when you don't have time or you don't have the capacity mentally, physically, emotionally. You're there. Even when you're trying to be the emotional yes man for your partner or your spouse, it's okay to not be emotionally available, even in a partnership. It doesn't mean you don't communicate. But that's where the give and take comes from. You can't always be the emotional anchor, because when you're not able to be the anchor and you force yourself to do it, that is also where resentment can drown you. Because all of these scenarios, you feel like it's expected of you because you always do it. You keep the peace, or you don't want to upset somebody. You don't want to let someone down. You do want to help out. You are a great person. And just because you say no to something doesn't mean you're not a great person. But you feel obligated. And the reality is, the obligation just comes from the guilt that your ego gives you because it's afraid to disappoint someone, to upset someone, to let someone down, to hurt someone's feelings, to create conflict, to shake things up. And I'm sorry, but if you can't shake things up with other people, then how do you expect to shake things up and change your own life and your own mindset? If you can't say no to somebody else because you need to say yes to yourself, then how do you expect yourself to be devoted, committed, and dedicated to changing your life, changing your mindset, going for gold, doing what your heart desires, your passions? On another note, there is another layer to choosing yourself that also, it often gets overlooked because it's not just about saying no when you want to or setting the boundaries that you need to. It is also about how freely you allow yourself to express who you really are. What I mean is what truly resonates on your heart, and not the habits of the person or the imposter you've allowed the ego to create for the sake of social acceptance in any level, any aspect of life: friendships, work, relationships, family, all of the above. Think about those moments when you hold yourself back, when you don't speak your truth, or you shrink a little smaller just to avoid conflict, or when you silence your ideas, your creativity, even your quirks, the ones that are beautifully and uniquely you, the silliness, the childlike mindset that comes out of you when you're in your passion, in your joy, and just surrounded by love through your aura. Those goofy little moments. Because you're afraid someone might judge you as she's or he's too much, they're not enough, that's ridiculous, or even that new one, that's cringe. Here's the truth. That discomfort that you feel, that edge of cringe, using quotations with that, it's actually a hotspot for transformation. When you let go of that fear of judgment or cringe or jealousy or anything, when you let that go, you all of a sudden start to find out who you are, who you truly are. When you can enjoy yourself and laugh at yourself when you're alone, but you can't do those same things or say those same things with people you're meant to be close to, then you're suppressing yourself. When you're in that discomfort and you're allowing yourself to move through it and find yourself, that's the fire that forges self-expression. And it's the gateway to discovering your most authentic self. And I've talked about it before. The highest vibration above love and happiness is authenticity. Because when we are in our authentic self and we are just exuding that, we already exude love and joy and happiness. It comes from within. It's throughout our aura. We can be contagious when we're authentic in the best way. When you suppress instead of express, you lock yourself in a cage of your own making. You trade authenticity for acceptance. But peace doesn't live in that cage. Peace, joy, freedom, deep, true, honest love, that lives in the wide open space of self-expression through any aspect. Whatever feels authentic to you for self-expression. So let's be real, and I'm just going to say it. Let people get uncomfortable if they must. That is for them, not for you. Let them judge. Let them talk. Just let them. Because the opinions of others are none of your business anyway. And the only meaning in your life is the meaning you choose to give it. Nothing has meaning until you create it. The beautiful part about this is that when you choose to live freely, you naturally attract people who resonate with your realness. The more authentic you are, the more aligned your connections will be. The more fulfilling and exciting they'll be. And those relationships will feel lighter, more effortless, and more real. This is because they're built on truth, your truth, and comfortability with you, your raw, real self, and not performance or masks. You're not acting out of fear. You're acting out of love when you're authentic. Here's something that I want you to remember. When you choose yourself, you're not only giving yourself permission, but you're giving others permission too. You're modeling what it looks like to honor your own needs. And that's powerful. It's giving a boundary without even thinking it's a boundary. You're choosing you and modeling how you want to be treated. Hence, the people that come into your life know how to treat you because they can see it. Self-honor it's not isolation. It's collective healing. Because when we all start showing up from a place of fullness instead of guilt, we shift the way that we relate to each other, the way we understand and react to each other. You know, it's so often, especially when I talk to people, we think it's our job to heal other people, to help, to fix their pain, to carry their burdens and their wounds, to make them whole. A lot of the time, this is a big reason why we feel guilty when we choose ourselves, because we feel it's our responsibility, especially with people close to us, with people that we love and we care for. But the truth is, it's not our job to heal anyone else. Our real responsibility, our sacred duty, is to heal ourselves. Because when we do, when we actually tend to our own wounds, our own nervous system, our own inner child and shadow side, that healing ripples out into the universe. It shifts the way that we show up in relationships and friendships. It changes the energy that we bring into a room. Our light becomes medicine. It touches hearts, it shifts energy, and it creates space for others. It gives others permission to believe in their own healing too. You shine your light, and it gives them the opportunity to shine theirs as well. So no, you don't have to heal the world, just heal yourself. And then, it's pretty cool. You watch how the world around you begins to transform, how the people around you begin to transform. It's such a beautiful thing. Okay, guys, so I want to end this episode with an affirmation. Now, you can say it out loud or, silently in your heart. It's up to you. But first, I want you to take a deep, healing breath in through your nose with me. And gently exhale any tension that you feel right now in this moment. Now repeat after me. It is safe to choose myself. My needs matter. My joy matters. My presence matters. I love myself. I choose myself. And I find peace and joy within. All right, guys, so the next time guilt whispers, just pause and ask yourself, am I guilty or am I growing? Am I changing? Am I shifting and minding my presence? Thank you for being here with me today, and thank you for choosing yourself simply by listening to this episode. Until next time, don't forget, keep minding your presence. Have a good night.